Hello everybody and welcome to yet another weird news report. Are you ready for some news? I know I sure am. Let's get started with our first story, which is about an invasive species of spiders which has found its way in the US state of Georgia. Somehow it's from Southeast Asia. We don't know exactly how it got here. I think it said probably in a shipping container, but we don't know exactly how it got here, but we do know that it's here in Georgia. These spiders are freaking huge. There's this article that shows, yeah, look at this. It's like half that guy's hand. At this point, there's a point at spiders, where I'm just okay, that is unnecessarily large. This is an unnecessarily large spider. It's just a little much, don't you think? Do we really have to do all of this? This article specifically is talking about, can these spiders survive in Michigan winters? I think it said that these spiders live in Japan, in northern Japan. Which is about as cold as Michigan gets. Not quite as cold, but about as cold. And these spiders, which I've never mentioned the name, Joro Spiders. These Joro Spiders live in Japan, in the cold, in the northern parts of Japan, just fine. So they're saying these spiders probably can live in even in Michigan, where it's super cold. You know, the one thing about winter, I'm yeah, it's gonna be super cold and it's gonna kind of suck, but at least there aren't gonna be any bugs. Well, can't you just give us one nice thing about winter? I'm sure these spiders are dormant or something. I don't think they're just crawling around. I don't know if it says. Yeah, I'm not sure entirely, but yeah, I just think it's a little much. But these spiders are gonna spread across the East Coast. That's what they're saying in these articles. That they're just gonna spread like wildfire. They don't have any predators because they're an invasive species. And I think this article in particular said that they expect that the spider is going to reach Michigan within the next 20 years. Probably sooner than that, because they say that it might someone might accidentally transport the spider in a car or something like that, and bring it to Michigan or somewhere else, and they could just spread super fast that way. It's just a little much, don't you think? Although it does say that they probably won't have much of an effect on local food webs or ecosystems, and they probably they can't bite you. Or it says you're highly unlikely to be bitten by one because their fangs are so small, and because they just kind of have a timid nature in general. But I just think it's a little much, don't you think? That is a little unintuitive, don't you think? When I think of invasive species, I think of that they'll have some negative effect on the ecosystems. But I guess I'm not a scientist. I guess we have some good news. These spiders, honestly, these spiders are probably fine in comparison to the next article, which is about hogs, wild hogs in Edmonton. Edmonton could become the first Canadian city with permanent wild pigs if they're unprepared, say the experts. Wild hogs. I think in this article, it says that wild hogs are the worst invasive species because they just destroy every environment that they're in. They tear up the forest floor, just digging, I guess. And they eat everything. And obviously they don't have any predators because they're an invasive species. I don't think they have any predators anyways. They can be up to 100 kilograms, which is a lot of pounds. I don't know exactly. But they're saying they got here because they think they escaped local farms in the 90s. Which is absurd, by the way. Pigs can kill people. I think people have been killed by wild wild pigs, wild hogs. It's incredibly disturbing. I don't, you know what, I'm gonna go and say it. I don't like hogs. Hogs can screw off. I don't even like ham that much. There, I said it. Pigs can screw off. Are pigs and hogs the same thing? I think so, yeah. But it's saying in this article, like, Edmonton, like, get your stuff together. Get rid of these pigs before they become an even bigger problem. And just start showing up, like, in the city itself and, like, attacking people. Because they will, eventually, probably. I don't know. This stresses me out. Hopefully our next article won't stress me out at all. I can't actually remember what it was. God, I remember what it is, and it's so upsetting. There are 5 fewer Doritos per bag thanks to inflation. Absurd. But this is what companies do, right? I think it's called shrinkflation, where it's like the idea is that like consumers are more sensitive to prices than like weights of food. Like a consumer will probably notice if something like changes prices if they like buy it every week, but they probably won't notice the weight if the weight changes. So there's pressure for companies to make their products smaller in order to save money. And you might be thinking like five Doritos, that can't be like that much money. They say it's going to save $50 million per year for Frito-Lay. It still makes me upset. You know how much air is already in the bag, in like chip bags? It's like already like half the bag, and you're gonna take out even more chips? Absurd. And it says even more products are gonna experience shrinkflation. They say a tube of Crest 3D White Radiant Mint has less brushes. There are 28 fewer crackers in a family-size original wheat thins, and there are fewer sips out of your bottle of Gatorade. Absurd. What is the plan here? Are you just going to keep on making like food smaller and smaller and smaller over time? Is that what's going to happen, and we're just like not going to notice? And you think that we're not going to notice? I have a picture of what food's going to be like in like 100 years. Bam. Because of shrinkflation. This is absurd, honestly. It's going to cost the same amount as it does today. But it's going to be super tidy. It's just, yeah. It makes me so upset. This is the worst news I've heard all week. Probably not actually, but it's bad news. Let's just move on. This is terrifying. There's a personal trainer that died from a caffeine overdose. What had happened is he had a powder, which is like that caffeine powder is what it was. It's supposed to like help athletic performance, which I guess makes sense. It speeds up your heart or whatever. Whenever I drink a lot of caffeine, I feel like I'm just gonna die though. So I don't know. But I didn't mean it like that. It sounded like a pun or something, or like a pun, because this guy actually did die. He ingested 5 grams of caffeine powder, which is the equivalent of 200 cups of coffee. 200 cups of coffee. And it said like on the bag that the recommended dosage was like between 60 and 300 milligrams. So compare that with the 5 grams that he had. The thing is that the powder that he bought like didn't come with like a measuring scoop or anything. So like he had like he tried to weigh it. He thought he was taking an appropriate dose, but he just like measured wrong, which is like super scary. Like, don't you think it would come with like some sort of like measuring device? like some scoop, just to say like this is the amount that you could take and not die. I don't know. And a caffeine overdose, that sounds like super painful. Like your heart would just be like beating super fast. You'd probably go into cardiac arrest. I don't know if it said what he actually died from. Very, very, very scary story. Don't drink too much caffeine, kids. You could be hurt. Don't drink 200 cups of coffee, I would say. Obviously, he did it on accident, so like, I don't know. Just like, hope. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just move on to our next story, which is hopefully a little less scary. I can't remember what the next story is. Box of human heads stolen from Denver truck. Yeah, there is a box of heads. There was a truck, it had a box in it with heads that were supposed to be, for scientific research. Like, people had donated their bodies to science, and their like heads were going to be studied, I guess, or something. And yeah, some dope in Denver stole this box from this truck full of human heads. I'm pretty sure, like, I think what must have happened is that the thief just like grabbed a random box and had like not looked inside it. Because the other explanation is that he grabbed the box, he looked inside it, saw a bunch of human heads, and decided to take it anyways. I don't think that's what happened. I think he just like took it without looking in it. But like, wouldn't you look in a box to make sure it was like valuable or something? I don't know. And no, that must be what happened. Because like, why would you just grab a box? I'm so confused. That's horrifying, by the way. Can you imagine like being like, I'm just speculating. At this point, I don't know what this guy did. But like, could you imagine being like a bandit? And you go up to a truck, you see a box, you're like, I bet that there's valuables in that box. You grab it, you take it home, you open it up, and there's just like 10 human heads. I don't know. What would you even do with human heads? Just like throw it away? I don't know. Seems suspicious. Let's move on. There's a woman in North Carolina, and she, in 2021, last year, I guess I could say, she applied for a custom license plate. She applied for the license plate, which is named FART, as a joke, F-A-R-T. She wanted that on her license plate, thinking that they wouldn't give it to her. But then the DMV did give it to her. They gave her the license plate. And she's surprised, but like, she's like, okay, I'm gonna put it on my car or whatever. But then someone complained. What a party pooper. Who would complain about this license plate that says fart on it? Wow, what a party pooper. And the DMV was like, yeah. The DMV like said, like, we're gonna have to like take back your license plate. Like, you can't use your license plate because someone complained. And I guess they like determined that it is kind of vulgar. But they gave her 30 days. And they gave this woman like 30 days to like appeal and to prove why this license plate like is meaningful to her. So this woman created a group called the Friends of Asheville Recreational Trails, or FART, FART, as an acronym. And the group even has a mailing list, a website, and merchandise. Very fun. They held their first meeting. 15 people showed up. No, that wasn't enough. The DMV still said, no, this isn't. We're still going to take your license plate. Well, they didn't. They actually didn't take the license plate. They said, like, you can keep the license plate. You just can't have it on a vehicle. This whole thing is upsetting. Like, if the DMV was going to take away her license plate, why not just, like, not give it to her in the first place? I guess they didn't think that anyone... At first, they didn't think that anybody would complain. Or that they... At first, the DMV... This is what must have happened. The DMV, like, didn't consider it to be vulgar at first. They didn't even really consider it. They gave it to her. And then someone complained, and then they reviewed it and determined that it was vulgar. I don't know. But this like article is kind of fun because it has a list of banned state issue license plate. Hit and run. Where is it? Hit and run. That's that is not a good license plate. Why would you even apply to this? And like looking at this list, the only explanation in my mind is that like people must have actually like applied for these license plates for them to be like on the list, because if you like look at them, they're just like the most random stuff, like the most random words, like what is this? It says hellure. Hellure. It has 2 question marks. HELLUR question mark. That's a banned license plate right there. So vulgar. Old fart. Oh, it's always one. Not high. I don't know why that's considered like unacceptable. He's not high. I don't know. Sheriff. I do see why that would be confusing. I don't know. I could look at all of these and get a little chuckle, but we do have to move on. Crap. That's one that's banned. We should move on to our next article. You guys always know I like to end these weird news reports with like a particularly interesting article. And boy, have I followed through this week. Massive Hawaii taro root could be the largest ever harvested. This is you can see the picture here. It's a very large taro root. I have pictures of like a normal sized taro root, and like compare the two. It's pretty impressive, I think. It says that this large plant can feed 180 people. 180 people. It weighs almost 100 pounds. Most taro plants usually weigh between 1 and 2 pounds. That's impressive. But like they're saying it's going to be a record. This huge taro root. I don't even know exactly what a taro root is. I've never had it before, but apparently they eat them in Hawaii. Well, that's exciting. And that is also the end of this episode.